Living alone, especially as you get older, is usually portrayed as a peaceful and inspiring experience. You get to do whatever you want, when you want, without any disruptions or commitments to others. While this is true to some capacity, there's another side of the story that cannot be talked about as much, things you won't hear until you're experiencing it yourself. I've accumulated wisdom from numerous websites and forums, and I want to share what many people are saying. The perspective of those who've traveled this road before isn't all bad, it's just real. So let's delve into the parts of living alone as an elderly person that people don't tell you about, and how you can make the best of it. Number 1, you need to be your own emergency backup. One of the biggest surprises about living alone in your golden years is understanding that you are your own safety net. There's nobody around to notice if anything goes wrong. I have read stories of individuals who collapsed and were not found for hours or even days, since they didn't have somebody checking on them frequently. One Redditor talked about how they had begun carrying their phone wherever they went, even in the bathroom, just in case. While this might sound a bit extreme, it's an effective way of thinking ahead regarding your safety. You might think about wearing a smartwatch or medical alert device, particularly if you live in a more isolated place or don't have nearby neighbors. It's one of the safety measures that brings peace of mind and enables you to continue living alone comfortably. For example, I remember a comment from a woman on an online forum who installed an emergency key lockbox outside her apartment. This way, if anything ever happens, close friends or relatives can get in without breaking the window. Number 2, loneliness can be a real struggle, especially for introverts. Many individuals assume living alone is a dream for introverts, and for the most part, it is. But even the most isolated people can face periods of loneliness, particularly when they're older. Many users on forums said that their social groups have diminished over the years. Friends have moved away or passed on, and meeting new individuals might feel more difficult. One elderly gentleman commented in a forum about how he would go days without having a single communication with anybody. He enjoyed being on his own, but he missed the informal interactions of having somebody around, a friend or a roommate, to have conversations with about little things like the environment or what's for dinner. For others, the solution has been to adopt a pet. Pets provide you with an atmosphere of camaraderie, routine, and responsibility. As one lady commented on a forum, "My cat might not talk, but he's always around when I get home, and that makes all the difference." Number 3, keeping up with house maintenance can be stressful. One thing that gets more challenging with getting older, and that no one actually talks about, is keeping up with household duties. As we grow older, our energy levels change. Duties like washing gutters, mowing the lawn, or perhaps just vacuuming might feel more stressful. I've come across many stories of older individuals who let some duties slide just because they no longer had the endurance or willingness to do them. One woman shared how she would make a list of home maintenance that needed to be carried out, but ended up putting most of them off. It wasn't that she wasn't concerned about her home. It was just too overwhelming to handle everything alone. If you're in this situation, don't hesitate to ask for help. You can hire somebody for the heavy lifting duties or ask relatives and friends to pitch in sometimes. And if your financial situation allows, consider downsizing. A smaller living space implies less maintenance and fewer issues to be concerned about, giving you more time to enjoy the things that really matter. Number 4, your everyday routine becomes sacred, and that's okay. One aspect that stands out in many personal experiences is how much everyday routines mean if you live alone. When you don't have a partner or housemate to share obligations or spontaneous arrangements with, your daily routine becomes your stability. Perhaps it's the morning coffee on the porch, your afternoon stroll, or a particular TV show in the evening. These daily habits keep you grounded. A woman in her 80s shared how she begins her mornings by playing the same music while preparing breakfast, just to fill the silent house with some enthusiasm. Another man also shared how he looked forward to maintaining his landscaping every evening. He claimed it wasn't just about the landscaping, but the sense of purpose and structure that it gave his day. There's an elegance to it. Don't allow anyone to make you feel that having rigid activities is a negative thing. It's these simple, ordinary experiences that make life alone special. These are your rituals, and they give you power over your life. Number 5. Cooking for one can be challenging but rewarding. Cooking for yourself might be among those unexpectedly tricky tasks when you're older and living alone. You don't have to cook big meals, and at times it seems like too much work to make a full dish just for yourself. I've read many stories of people defaulting to frozen food or takeout because it's simpler. But as one woman wrote on a forum, getting to love cooking for yourself can transform your point of view completely. It gets less about the work and more about the care you're putting into yourself. Try cooking in batches on weekends or preparing meals that you can eat over just a few days. Some have found pleasure in experimenting with new recipes, considering it a leisure activity instead of a chore. You might discover that cooking food for yourself is a little act of self-improvement, one of those activities that encourages you that you're worth the effort. Furthermore, it's a better and more budget-friendly option over time. Number 6. The silence can be both a blessing and a curse. Silence is something people do not expect to hit them as hard as it does once they start living alone, particularly if they're used to a bustling environment or full-time employment. The house sometimes feels too quiet, specifically in the evenings. Some individuals thrive in such tranquility, but for others, it's unsettling. One elderly lady revealed that she began leaving the radio on in the background when performing her house chores, just to enrich the environment with some noise. Another man claimed he listens to podcasts during the day to feel like somebody is talking to him. Whether it's music, audiobooks, or watching television, finding techniques to break silence can create a tremendous impact. On the contrary, solitude can be a genuine blessing. It might be a room to think and recharge. Number 7. You need to be intentional about physical activity. Living alone, specifically as you get older, might mean fewer reasons for getting up and moving. Without a partner or roommates motivating you to go for a stroll or engage in common shared activities, it's easy to fall into an idle way of life. Many users on forums have revealed that after living alone for a while, they noticed their physical fitness decreasing. One man explained how he eventually quit taking regular strolls and found himself sitting more. I didn't realize exactly how less active I was till my body began to stiffen up. Remaining physically active needs extra effort when you're the only one encouraging yourself. An excellent strategy to preserve your health is to integrate physical exercise into your routine, regardless of how small. Whether it's making a daily step target, doing some slight stretching in the early mornings, or joining a local fitness group for older people. These minor activities can have a tremendous influence on your health. A certain woman I read about decided to buy a dog simply for this reason. The dog has to walk, so she keeps moving too. Physical exercise is not always about going to the gym. It might be gardening, dancing around your living room, or climbing the stairs rather than using a lift. Maintaining your body in action not only benefits you physically, but also elevates your mood and refreshes your mind. Number 8. Your sense of time may change in unexpected ways. Another issue people don't mostly talk about is how living alone can influence a relationship over time. Without the rhythms of someone else in the house, you might lose track of the day, the week ahead, or even the month. Many individuals online have commented that time either extends too long or passes away unnoticed. A certain man commented on a forum that shortly after his retirement and the demise of his spouse, he experienced moments where he wasn't sure the day it was, or even the time of day. This occurs because you no longer have external indications, such as a partner's duty schedule or children's activities, to plan your day. The good news is that you have the ability to set your own rhythm. Some individuals find that keeping to a loose routine helps. For instance, you can choose certain days to carry out particular tasks, buying groceries on Mondays, home cleaning on Thursdays, and so on. Others find it useful to take part in activities that make them look forward to certain times of day or week, like attending an occasional class, landscaping in the afternoons, or making special weekend dinners. It's crucial to keep track of time, but also allow yourself to enjoy how it goes. Living alone gives you the ability to build your days around what's comfortable for you. And that's a blessing. Number 9. Decluttering gets both easier and harder when you live alone. The process of decluttering takes on an entirely new significance. On one side, there's nobody there to argue about which objects to keep or dump, which might make the whole thing smoother. On the contrary, everything in your home turns into a mirror of your life. Every photo and every piece of furniture contains memories, and getting rid of them might seem more personal. I remember reading a comment from an elderly woman who had lived alone for a long time. She explained how she found herself keeping stuff because of their emotional value, even if she knew she didn't need them. She said, "It's only me, so whom does it hurt to be holding on to these things?" But then I think, do I truly want to leave all this for another person to sort through? Many individuals in online communities highlight the emotional challenges of decluttering. Especially if you live alone, objects take on more significant meaning, and parting with them seems like the ending chapter of your life. But there's also liberty in simplification. An elderly man in his late 70s revealed how he chose to minimize his stuff to make life easier for himself and his family. He said it gave him peace of mind, knowing that his home seemed more manageable. Decluttering as you get older isn't about minimalism. It's about creating your space as an aspect of who you are today, not who you were in your younger years. It's acceptable to maintain the things that give you happiness, but letting go of what no longer benefits you may be liberating. Begin small, deal with one thing at a time, and allow yourself to experience the emotions associated with it. After all, this is your space, and you have the freedom to form it as you desire. Number 10, social invitation might decrease, but you have to create your own enjoyment. One surprising aspect of living alone as you get older is how social invitation begins to decrease. It's not that others stop caring about you, but when friends and family move into various stages of life, busy with their children, occupations, or perhaps moving away, you could find yourself less active in group activities. A few people in forums commented how they noticed they were not invited to events as often anymore, and it can seem a bit isolating. One lady shared in a thread, "I used to wait for my cell phone to ring, but now I've realized I need to be proactive." This is excellent advice. Rather than waiting for someone to invite you, develop your own social life. It may be as simple as inviting an acquaintance for dinner, starting a book club, or having a movie night in your living room. When you host or plan the party, you can incorporate your passions. One man in his 60s talked about forming a neighborhood strolling group where every Sunday a few people would gather and explore various local trails. It kept him engaged and active, all while doing something he enjoyed. Living alone means you have an opportunity to build your social life, so make use of it. If you love artwork, invite others over for a craft night. If you like a specific TV show, schedule a weekly watching party. Become the person who reaches out, and you'll discover that others will follow. Number 11. It's simple to ignore self-care, but it's more important than ever. When you live alone, no one will notice when you've been wearing the same clothes for 4 days, or when you're not concerned about making a nice dinner. It becomes simple to get into the habit of not taking care of yourself. Many users on forums confessed that living alone often leads to a sensation of, "Who am I doing this for?" But here's something to consider. You're doing it for yourself. A certain man talked about how after several years of living alone, he discovered he was letting tiny things slide, skipping meals, not bathing regularly, and spending too much time on the sofa. He said, "I had to keep reminding myself that I deserve the same attention that I would give to anyone else." Wanting care for oneself is not just about grooming or eating effectively. It's about your emotional wellness too. Whether it's keeping up with healthcare appointments, having enough sleep, or just engaging in activities that make you feel comfortable. Self-care is essential when you're on your own. A certain lady shared her ritual of lighting candles in the evening, wearing a face mask, and reading the Bible. It's a small ritual, but she performs it just for herself to feel nurtured, making self-care a top concern, even if there's no one else around to notice. Get dressed in the morning, even when you're not going anywhere. Cook foods you enjoy and handle yourself in a way that makes you feel uplifted. After all, you're living alone, but you still need the best care, and you can only offer it to yourself. Living alone as an elderly person is difficult but rewarding. You have the opportunity to create the life you desire, and that's something valuable. But remember that it's okay to ask for help. Prepare for the unexpected, and rely on others. Always surround yourself with what makes you comfortable, whether that's a beloved pet or your favorite book. And when unfortunate times come, remember that you're truly alone. There are many individuals just like you finding their way through it too. Feel free to share your own opinions and experiences in the comments. And if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to not miss any of our future videos.